Okay, how do we walk by the Spirit and not by the flesh? It's what I've studied for the last week or 2 weeks. I can't get off of it. I've torn it all up. And so I asked God for a simplistic way for me to understand it and to teach it so that it can be applied. So, how do we walk by the Spirit and not by the flesh? First, let's start with this. Let's say this is a spirit. Okay, when we see the little circles, because it's one-dimensional, okay, the spirit, soul, and body, that's a three-dimensional concept with an eternal concept inside of a nocturnal bottom, because our flesh is going to die. So let's say this is a spirit, right? It's inside our flesh, right? All right. And our mind, will, and emotions are inside our body. So we see the three circles, one circle for the spirit, one circle for our mind, will, and emotions, and one circle for the flesh, okay? And then they tell us those are combined. But I thought because this is three-dimensional, it might make a better understanding. Okay, so our spirit, soul, and body are all in this body. It's perfect for me because it's just slightly round. Sorry. So spirit, soul, and body. Sorry, come back. Spirit, soul, and body, they're all one. See, and so this is inside of this, and this is inside of this. And so when I move my arm, my spirit arm moves. When I move my arm, my mind, will, and emotions understand that my arm is moving. So we're all combined. It's so simplistic, but I love how he gave it to me. It'll be worth it. So how do I operate in the spirit always and never operate in the flesh? Now, you know when you're going to eat the ho-ho and God's telling you not to eat the ho-ho and you eat the ho-ho anyways, that's when the flesh operated and was the boss of the spirit. So how do we make the spirit always be the chief thing and the flesh being secondary? So I love this. So it says this, it said that the Israelites moved only when the cloud and the fire moved. And every time God moved, they moved. Perfect example of mind, will, and emotions. Because when God moves the spirit, the flesh followed, which are the Israelites. So the spirit always led the flesh everywhere they went. They're a perfect example. Everywhere they went in the wilderness, when God stopped, they stopped. See, the spirit always led the flesh. And when it happened that the flesh led the spirit, it led to a golden calf. So it's imperative that we learn how to walk by the spirit and not by the flesh. I love that. Because it says this, it says that if we die to the flesh and live to the spirit, that the flesh will die and the spirit man will live. But if we walk by the flesh and are led by our flesh, the spirit man decreases. Okay, so how do we make sure that our flesh dies and that our spirit man lives? I love this. Okay, so we're going to put in flesh. We're going to put in mind, will, and emotions. And we're going to put in the spirit. See, they're all in one. They're all in here. And our whole essence is full of body, soul, and spirit. It's all in there. When I take out one, I get some flesh, some spirit, and some body. Because when I move by the spirit, when I don't say what I wanted to say so I don't hurt somebody's feelings, like you're very wrong, or that was not the smartest thing you ever did, and I don't say that, that means the spirit rolled and the flesh didn't roll. So how do I make sure that out of me always comes the spirit? Okay, it says this, in him we move and have our being. How do we always move in him and have our being and not let our flesh always rule our being? Are you ready? Dun, dun, dun. By saying yes to the Spirit. Okay, when the person comes up and they're not right, I have a choice every time to be led by the flesh and let the flesh come out, or to be led by the Spirit and let the Spirit come out. When I'm faced with a whole box of ding-dongs, I have a choice. Do I let this flesh lead me and eat it, or do I let the Spirit lead me? Whatever leads, whatever comes out, is the thing that's controlling. So I say yes to the Spirit. I say yes to get up early and praying and studying. I say yes to the Spirit. I say yes to be obedient to His will instead of doing my own will. I say yes, and the more I say yes, the more my spirit man gets to lead me. I say yes so that when somebody says something and I don't say back what I really wanted to say, I am led by the Spirit. Every choice, everything we do in our life, we are either led by the Spirit or we're led by our flesh. And that's what comes out, our spirit or our flesh. We choose. I have a mind, will, and emotion that chooses to act the way He wants me to act or to act the way my flesh wants to act. Now, let's do that with spirituality. Let's do that. Okay, I have a choice to submit to leadership or not to submit. And by that choice, I choose what comes out, spirit or flesh. Choose the Spirit, and the Spirit leads. When we say yes to the Spirit man leads. And when we deny the yes, when we deny Him control of our mind, will, and emotions, we are led by the flesh.